Okay, so today I'm going to share a bit of my personal journey. Be very vulnerable around self-image, self-worth. So this won't be for every person out there, every entrepreneur out there. It'll identify with and resonate with some of you not. Busy walking an uphill. Suppose you can hear that. So hindsight's always 2020. So always easy for somebody to look back. And again, the purpose of these videos would be not to limit you making mistakes, because mistakes are learning opportunities, but to limit unnecessary mistakes that do damage rather than mistakes that add value. So if I look back at the effect that a low self-esteem and low self-worth has had on me as an entrepreneur, it's actually quite frightening how pivotal that has been in hampering. Oh, little slip there, it's wet from all the rain. How hampering it's been in my journey. Have a look at this. Tell me that's not beautiful. Hey? Okay, so let me run through some real life experiences where it's had a negative impact. So a lot of the business decisions I would make would stem from ultimately wanting acceptance from my peers, family and friends, which is never a good reason to make a decision. And I only really identified the fact that, my self-worth and self-esteem wasn't great when we were visiting doctors for my son, and he was diagnosed with ADHD. And in those sessions, I realized I was ticking all the boxes. And clearly I also had severe ADHD and tracked it back through my whole life. And as they explained it, the part that I remember was your brain produces dopamine. That dopamine travels through to go sit in a compartment in your brain where your self-confidence and confidence gets deposited. So when you require that chemical, it's there to be drawn. So what ADHD does, amongst a whole lot of other things, it goes and uses that dopamine before it can go and deposit into that part of your brain. So when you need to go and draw on self-confidence, self-worth, especially in conflict or acceptance or social parameters, it's not there. And then there's a whole knock-on effect of stuff that happens, and I could really identify with that. Although if you had to meet me in person, those that know me, I come across extremely confident, extremely secure, if I have a very high self-esteem. But the reality is, when you strip away all the layers, that's not true. Deep down inside, there is this nagging feeling, underlying weight, that you're just not good enough, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a businessman, as a person. And getting to a place where you actually realize it's there, I suppose, never having been a drug addict, but being exposed to a lot of it in some of my sort of second and third tier family circles, the biggest part of overcoming I've seen from the outside is acknowledging that it's there. So this is me saying, geez, for a very long time, I've been struggling with a low self-esteem. So does that make me a victim? Not at all. That actually empowers me to sort of identify it and manage it and be accountable for it. And I'm so thankful for that. It's definitely not something I've conquered. It's still, work in progress for me. And I think it will be until the day I die. But let's bring it back into the business context. For those of you who are fitness fanatics would have noticed I stopped to catch my breath. So a lot of times I would borrow money to solve a problem, which is never the right thing to do. Because you don't borrow money to fix a problem. You fix a problem by working hard at it and finding the root cause and solving that. You don't throw money, never mind borrowed money, at a problem. Another side effect would be, attending, getting involved in building relationships socially in environments where you feel accepted and you feel you can add value. But those environments often, aren't necessarily healthy for you. So in my case, true story, I have been known to be a little bit of a party animal. Suppose it adds to who I am. And there's some good parts of it. The problem is if it gets mismanaged, it becomes very destructive. So I would numb my feelings of insecurity with alcohol. And that would just be a negative downward spiral. And smoking. I think my only saving grace, as I have a very addictive personality, was seeing some family members get involved in drugs, and that sort of kept me from that. Not that one is better than the other, but don't know if I'd be standing here today if I got heavily involved in drugs. So, need to show you guys this again. I think it's beautiful. Anyway, so I would just numb the void, which could be a spiritual void, could be an emotional void, physical void, mental void, lots of voids that we try and fill. I would fill it with alcohol, parties, social gatherings. And again, I think there are elements of it that were good, but like any great strength, if it's not managed, it becomes destructive. So this whole cycle of small contributions started getting momentum, picking up momentum, and compounds. And it compounds to a place where the momentum is just a runaway train. Now again, the same principle is true for positive and negative momentum. So I think what I want to leave with you guys is, and girls and entrepreneurs, is and I don't want to make it sound regretful, but I wish I'd known this 20 years ago, because I think I would have been at a very different place. At the same time, I'm thankful for my journey and my story, because it's something I can share and hopefully help a few people. So some of the symptoms for me, I'm not a doctor. What do my friends say? He's a doctor because he operates. But no, I'm not a doctor, and he was also not a doctor. He was playing the fool because he operates as a businessman. Anyway, so gone and lost my own school of thought. Okay, great. So some of the symptoms for me were the binge drinking, the binge smoking, the impulsivity, binge eating, the weight fluctuations. And I think those were the big red flags for me around the ADHD, which is not, again, I'm not trying to find a excuse. I'm sharing my journey for those who are interested. I do also believe that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord. So let's park that there. So that impulsivity, that compounding effect of all these small bad habits creeping in, over drinking leads to overeating, leads to lack of exercise, leads to, lack of quality sleep, lack of spending time with the right relationships, family, spouse. And you can do the maths. That compound effect, that spiral compounded over a 10 or 15 or 20 year period, even over a 1 year period has, I can see the sun is quite hectic there in the background. Let me turn it this way. Has quite a massive impact, If you haven't read the book from James Clear called Atomic Habits, do it. And they're the positive and negative of this habit. Atomic habits, these small things. I need to just do a little bit of ducking and diving here. Branch that fell over. Those tiny wins or losses on a daily basis, that's the lagging effect and the lagging measure of practically everything in your life. And crux for you entrepreneurs out there, for me, would be to say your self-worth deep down, I'm not talking about this fake it until you make it in your face, trying to be I know it all, I've got it all, I understand, because I realize I understand very little. So I'm not saying I've got it figured out. I'm saying that for me, with my chemical and physical and physiological composition in my environment, which, let's call a spade a spade. I grew up as a white privileged kid going to some of the best schools, best universities. So again, I'm not saying I'm a victim. I'm saying, hey man or woman, I'm saying, hey, if you can identify where your self-worth is at and continually in a healthy way develop and build on it, it is going to help you make a whole set of different daily small decisions that will compound and have a huge effect, whether positive or negative, on the outcome of your business. Because any small or medium, even sometimes large businesses, are directly influenced by the quality, level and acumen of the jockey. One is too small a number for greatness, understand that. But the reality is, as goes the leader, so goes the house. So if your business is not getting the results you want, it's very simple. Look in the mirror and identify what areas you need to grow in, and start the journey. So on that note, be encouraged, but be aware and be conscious of how big an impact your self-worth has on the welfare of your business. Let me give you one last view over there. Don't know if the camera is going to do it justice. It's not. Some beautiful mountains in the background that are getting lost on the video. So stay strong, become, in a healthy, not narcissistic way, self-aware, and stick to the journey. You just need to outlast the competition. Stay strong. Chat soon.